All right, welcome. We are live, H&M Sports Academy. I am Mo. This is Harry, HMSA. Here we are on a weeknight, wrapping up week 11
Yep.
of the NFL season with the
Yeah.
Monday Night Thriller. We are here
You call that
to
a thriller?
recap.
You call that a thriller?
It
A
was it
massacre.
was it
A
was
massacre.
it was coined as a thriller. It was more like Manila. But we're here to wrap up this week and recap this week in the NFL.
Yeah.
As you know, we mostly focus on the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. If you like this type of content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We have a lot more content coming up this year, this season, and we're certainly excited about the growth of this channel, H&M Sports Academy. You can find us on
43
all
subscribers. 43. We're up 3 more subscribers since Saturday.
every day.
So,
We're
hey,
growing.
man.
I
Every
appreciate
day.
you 3 newbies.
Yeah.
And so here we are growing our channel, and we certainly appreciate having you on here tonight. We're going to breeze through a quick recap, get through this. We had a couple of games that we wrapped up with week 11. We had the Chicago Bears going to Minnesota to play the Vikings, a very interdivisional matchup, so a big game there. And we had the Bears defeating the Minnesota Vikings to go to 7-3, defeating them 19-17, and then which really was a thriller. Field goal at the end, another walk-off for the
the cardiac Bears, man. I can't take much more, man. I can't take much
Bears,
more.
Man.
Yeah.
They are. You're gonna have to get you a pacemaker soon. Get yourself to keep it held up. But another big win, and then tonight our capper was the Cowboys going to Las Vegas to play the Raiders, and which the Cowboys defeated the Vegas Raiders 33-16. Big game for the offense. New players coming back on defense, and we'll jump into this here shortly and discuss this. So, big week. It's been a couple of weeks since both of our teams have come out victorious, and we'll wrap up tonight. Talk a little bit about the NBA and the Los Angeles Lakers, but we're going to wrap up the NFL first and jump into this. I think we're going to cover tonight's game with the Cowboys playing the Raiders and defeating them. We'll talk about them first and jump into that and get into that. So the backdrop here on this game was the Cowboys coming off of a bye week in which Marshawn Nealon, a young defensive lineman who was drafted in 2024, was found unconscious and fatal gunshot wounds, self-inflicted wounds, and had committed suicide. And, that's a tough situation to go through as a team when you lose a player and trying to figure out and pick up the pieces in the interim of the bye week. On top of that, you had a multitude of players who were coming back from injury. On top of that, you had several players that were picked up in free agency. So a lot of moving and shaking going into this game. And oh, by the way, you need to win this game in order to stay on track and give yourself a chance to get into the playoff race. If there's any small chance to get into the race, you got to win. So that's the backdrop here. Let's talk Raiders offense and Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
So as we kick this off here, getting into the feedback here and the feedback from this game, we knew that the Raiders had some struggles on their offense. With Geno Smith, I think their biggest struggles were the offensive line and and the type of injuries that they've had, the depth that they lost, and just were struggling to pick the pieces up. They moved the center to guard, just trying to shuffle anything they can to do anything they can to get some stability there with their offensive line. And so you got Geno Smith, who's not a very mobile quarterback. You got a rookie running back who's got some burst and some ability, but not a lot of blocking. He's at the bottom of the league in yards before contact and Ashton Jenkins. So, that was it was tough. It was tough for the Raiders to get started. They started out early on, kind of moving the ball and making some moves. They scored first, got a field goal. But the reality is they were going to struggle against this Cowboys defense. What did you see early on with their offense when you just kind of assessed just looking at this game and how it went?
Yeah, they came out and a lot of under center, right? They started off, I think they really wanted to establish the play action game. And just like we said, they went to Brock Bowers early and often. I think that was really the game plan coming off that Cardinals loss. They saw McBride and what he was able to do, and I think they tried to lean into that a little bit. The first thing I really noticed, and I really want you to expound on it because you talked about, with the Micah trade and everybody being down on you guys grabbing, Quentin Williams and Wilson, and you're getting healthy. But I texted you and I said, man, Wilson got the green dot on his helmet. A lot of you guys don't understand how hard that is to come in and learn an offense, not only learn it, but call it out and lead the defense in that way, right? So I thought that was impressive. That Clark, Quentin Williams, defensive tackle. You saw immediate results. Yeah, you got stuff to run pretty early and got into some what I call predictable passing situations, and with your pressures, only rushing 4 and 5. I just saw you guys made it tough for the Raiders schematically. They really don't have a lot on the edges to really challenge you in that way. And I thought, defensively, the aggression in the secondary, you guys look lively, fresh, coming out of a bye. That's what you expect, guys, feeling much better, feeling healthier. But you guys didn't give up any ground, man. You were right. I didn't see a lot of historically this season. You guys have been a little bit more playing off the ball a little bit, being a little bit more bend but don't break. And this defense looked a lot more on their toes and playing on their front foot and getting across that line of scrimmage. So Geno, this is just, to me, he wasn't as sharp as he normally is, and I feel like Flus did a great job. He forced, you guys forced the Raiders to check the ball down, right? And Geno early wasn't willing to take that check down, so he took a lot of sacks and got off schedule. So I really like what I saw from your defense offensively. The Raiders, outside of Bowers and Genty's been I'm not gonna say he's been a disappointment. He dropped a couple of passes tonight. His vision and his burst is there, but I think with this offensive line and just with some of the start, he can't get a head start. What's interesting, man, when we drafted Kyle Monunga, and I'm not gonna make this a Bear situation, I called him Genty Light, right? And I feel like the way he's been attacking downhill, and there's always been this big question: do you take a running back high? Do you take a great offensive line and get a running back later in the round, and 5th or 6th round? Genty's gonna be just fine. They need a little bit of, they lost I want to say Miller, their left tackle, on that offensive line, and they just haven't recovered. So it wasn't a lot of what I call just movement where they can just dictate the running the game for him. And you guys were able to key in on him, and it just kind of swallowed him up tonight. So great performance defensively from you, and offensively they couldn't get the ball to the edges to where they in that Cardinals game, we talked about Marvin Harrison being able to dictate some of these coverages, and they didn't have that capability. So you guys end up swallowing them up.
Yeah, I just go a few names: Quentin Williams, Logan Wilson, Siobhan Revel Jr., um, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker. These are names that were not playing last week. They were not. Right. They were not playing last week, and those are names of people who are impact players that made a big difference this week. And what they basically did was you added that to Donovan Ezaraku, Jadeveon Clowney, Kenneth Murray, Deron Bland, and those guys who, they had hit or misses. They would make plays or make a solid play, but then they, lose. And the bottom line is, when you have a lot of holes in your defense, you can bust on certain people at certain times, and then even your best players, they will make mistakes, because people are out there making mistakes on defense, but you can't capitalize off of it when most people don't make mistakes on your defense. And so this was the first time that I really saw what Fluce's defense could look like. I could see the shell coverage, the zone. I could see the concepts where the receivers were getting bracketed and the defensive backs were breaking on routes, and they all had their eyes forward on the quarterback, and they could close in and make tackles. And if you dumped it off, everyone could rally. Yeah. And that's really the principle. It's actually a similar principle to what the Denver Broncos run, and they got one of the best defenses in the league, and Dallas is one of the worst. So then you say, well, what's the difference? Well, Flus needs people. He needs players. This is not a defense that you can execute without dudes. And when you start putting a 3-time Pro Bowler, another All-Pro, another guy who draws a lot of double teams, another Pro Bowler, another guy who can execute the defense at linebacker position, Demarion Overshawn comes back, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's a dude, there's another dude. It looks so much different. I mean, Deron Bland, from last game to this game, it looked like two different people.
Well, and all great points. I think the big thing that you really, the principle of the cover 2 is based off of pressure of 4 guys, right?
That's right.
And when you lose a Micah, and you lose, like you said, some key players in the second. Yeah, you lose some key players, on the other side with your pass rusher, then you lose some of your secondary. And it's tough to run that schematically when the principle is, hey, we got to get some pressure up front to get that ball out of the quarterback's hands. Yeah. To make him throw that ball in some tight windows. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head. The historical premise behind having that 3 technique, which Clinty Clark and Quentin Williams kind of interchangeable in that way. They were pushing that pocket, man.
Also Digazor too, same thing. They're all interchangeable.
Yeah, and if you get behind the sticks, where it's 2nd and 11, it's 2nd and 14. It's not a lot of space to throw that football if you don't have time. And if you do, and you saw it, you guys got your hands and deflected one up in the air. And I think, your secondary doesn't have to be as sticky, was covering 4 or 5 seconds in the NFL. No team is good at that. And this was a game where you kind of got back to people in the right places, in the right positions, and you don't have to be perfect, right? You can have every defensive play. There's some what I call losing battles, but you can make up for it when a Quentin Williams, who's an All-Pro, collapses the pocket and the offense doesn't get a chance to capitalize on it. So this is what I call, what you envision when you brought a Flus in. This is what you're looking for when you talk schematically, how to pair it up with your offense. And you guys did right out the gates. You jump on them, you turn them one-dimensional very early. and nobody's biting on play action when it's, you know, a game where you got to come back and score points, right? So the health and those new additions, and Wilson, sometimes one man's trash, another man's treasure. I thought he, with Sanborn going down and Murray being a little bit of, you know, that might have been a little bit too much on his plate this early in his career.
Yeah.
Wilson with that green dot, he's where he's supposed to be.
Man, you see that play in the end zone where the tight end was covered and they wanted Wilson to come up and bite on it, and he didn't bite.
Yeah, he didn't.
And he had nowhere to throw. Quarterback had nowhere to throw because Wilson had that guy bracketed in the end zone. That's a green dot play.
Yeah, doing your job, knowing understanding down and distance, understanding the situation, and having the athletic ability to, you know, complete and execute what you're trying to do. And I think here on out, you got, obviously your schedule gets much tougher. We'll talk about that. Your next 4, you'll get tested even more. But hell, I'll take this, right? I'll take these guys and move forward. And you're in a much better position than where you were 2 weeks ago defensively, for sure.
Yeah.
Just with the Jimmies and the Joes.
That's right. Yeah, Kalen Carson looked so much better out there. And, you know, they just look competent, man. They just look competent. You know, no freebies. There was no freebies. And so I will take that. We flip over to the other side of the ball. You know, what can we say about the offense of Dallas going against the Raiders? The Raiders have a couple of good players, Devin White and, you know, Jamal Adams, and obviously their all-pro defensive end is Crosby.
Max Crosby.
Right. And you could tell at the beginning of the game when you have a lot of juice and you could see he's just so explosive. I mean, you know, Dak was in trouble multiple times at the beginning of the game just because this guy's fresh and he's coming off with such ferocity. He's a game record, you know, because you saw when y'all played him. Yeah. And it was the same thing. And he almost killed the game before he got started.
He almost won the game by himself, single-handedly.
He's that good. But you keep running at him. You keep running plays. You keep him out there. You keep getting first downs. And all of a sudden, you just don't have enough steam. And he can't do enough by himself.
No, you guys did a great job. You brought you, and I am going, you know, we'll pat ourselves on the back because we talked about that, right? We talked about extra tight ends to do what? Chip, lean on them in the running game. And, you know, still, even with all of that, he still made an early splash play. And like you say, he was, you know, flying around. But in his defense, man, it's hard when you are the focal point of that line. And, you know, the Cowboys are smart enough to know, you know, it's all about body blows, right? When you don't have enough guys, he doesn't have enough guys up front to draw attention to where they don't wear him down. When you're getting hit and chipped and ran at for, you know, multiple drives and series that are, and when they result in touchdowns, that's the quickest way to take that steam out of you, right? And you throw in, you know, play action, which is, it controls pass rush, right? It's hard for you to defend the run and rush the passer in what I call manageable down and distance. So once you guys got into that rhythm, you basically negated a lot of his ability and impact on the game. And once he's out of that equation, then you get what you get today from your offense, which was an explosive performance.
I just can't say enough about how 3 things: how hard Javonte Williams runs.
Yes.
How well Dak Prescott is able to throw the ball with accuracy and touch, even on the run and outside, and you know, not having set pocket, because he had to move his launch pad because of Crosby. And my goodness, man, Pickens and Lamb. Man,
we called it they actually got benched the first series. So
I think I think they were late. I think they were late for a meeting.
Okay, so, you know, wake up call for them right out the gate. And once they got on the field, man, they got right to business. We talked about And I will pat ourselves on the back again. We talked about coming
That's
out of
right.
the bye. We were looking
That's
at
right.
the targets
Yep.
per versus with the along, in conjunction with the efficiency with Pickens. And was that true tonight? My God, man, he was early. He was open early and often and making big plays. And CD, played. They played off of each other really well today, schematically with the play calls. And I thought, the timing of the play calls mixed with the run game. This was one of Shotty's, better call games. In the last couple of weeks, you guys have gotten off track a little bit, and I feel like he got back to what we saw earlier in the season with just the cadence and the rhythm of his play calling.
It's just that CeeDee Lamb commands so much pressure that you're just letting this guy George Pickens just run wild in your secondary, and you got these guys trying to cover him in open space, and he's so slippery and he's so smooth with his moves. It's just difficult, man, to defend. I just wouldn't even want to have to deal with something like that in that open space. The catch radius, it's just a handful, man. And I tell you, every day he does it, he's making himself more and more money. I just, the Cowboys, we're not gonna get into contract stuff, but the Cowboys, they have the cap space to pay him, but it's gonna be a heck of a negotiation. The Cowboys can also franchise tag him, but they don't want to franchise tag him. They want to pay him. That franchise eats all your money up. So, but man, they're going to have to do something because this guy is he is electric out there, man.
A couple of things with that. Like I said, we won't get too heavy into it. He does have the same agent as Micah, so you got to work through that hurdle. And in the end, I think Green always wins, right? The agent can't take things personal. His job is to get his client the best deal. So I don't think that'll be an inhibitor to getting him signed. I think the inhibitor is his value, right? When you really look at it's the age-old question of why are you getting open, right? Is it the scheme or is it the player? And I think this is one of those situations where yes to both, right? His best situation is here in Dallas. Gives you a similar look to Cincinnati with Higgins and Chase, to where you take pressure off each other. And you don't, in Dallas, you can make a ton of money making big plays, and what you think you're losing in a couple of $1 million worth of negotiation with no state tax and a couple of Jerry, car dealership commercials or Chunky Campbell soup, and now you right back where you need to be in a great situation where I do think in Pittsburgh, with him being the focal point, I just don't think that's his sweet spot with his maturity level, right? When he's not getting the ball. In Dallas, I think you guys got the support and the scheme that allows him to be his best version of himself. So hopefully he goes into that negotiation taking all that into account, because if you go somewhere else, you might get a little bit more money, but you're going to go right back to being unhappy with your usage and how you're being utilized.
And I think the last thing I'm going to say about that is this David Mulugeta guy is, he's a tough guy, but I think the thing that bothers me is, and I even going back to the Michael situation is, I know you're my agent, but you work for me. So there is never going to be a scenario in which if I want something, I'm not going to get what I want because you are playing hardball with my career. And see, I think that situation with Micah allowed his agent to become too much of his voice and tell him what not to do and kind of, hey, just trust me on this and trust me on that and so forth. And at some point, I don't even think Micah wanted to go as far as he did in the holdout and the negotiations, but he let his agent tell him to play hardball. And this time Jerry didn't blink. And so it went that direction, and all of a sudden it's gone. If I'm Pickens, I have a number in my head that I want to try to get to, or a range. And if I get to that number, we're not going to go back and forth and stuff. And I don't really care, David, what you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do because this is my career. and I'm not going to nickel and dime these folks for $2 more million so you can get paid. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what this is really about. He wants to make sure he gets this guy the highest amount because he
commission
gets that too.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like that because at the end of the day, the agent works for the player. The player doesn't work for the agent. So the agent shouldn't be telling the player what to do when it comes to his career.
Agreed. This might be one of those situations, and I don't mean it in a negative light. I think Micah got a little too close to the negotiations with Jerry. And like you said, there was a few layers. There were things, you know, the agent is telling him, hey, you let me negotiate this deal because I can get you something better. And he got something, you know, what I call numerically, when you really, you know, hear it and you see it on paper. But I think when we broke it down, it was less than like a couple of $1 million. It wasn't. And I know that sounds to everybody who's of course, we know $2 million is a lot of money, but when you get taxed in Wisconsin and you lose 50% of it because of the job tax, and then you got, you know, other factors coming into the equation, to your point, career-wise, you know, now you're looking at Green Bay. You think Mike is going to be happy in that situation in about another year and a half where they're cash strapped and they don't have the flexibility to put a winning team around them. In Dallas, it's actually the opposite, where they've actually freed up a ton of cap space.
A lot of money. A ton.
So now I think your team is going to be more balanced going forward, and you're going to be able to put pieces to stay together to stay competitive, which is what every guy really wants. Like you as much as we, you know, talk about the NFL guys being divas and just thinking about themselves, you know, it's a tough game to play when you lose it. I don't care how much money you make. It's just no fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of what I call he didn't get the quarterback play he's getting from Dak. Like there's something to be said for being included in game plans and being active. Look at your boy in Philly, right? They're winning, and he's unhappy because he's not a part of the game plan. So it's a what I call a dynamic ecosystem when it comes to your career. And you're right, when you look at it holistically, I think this is the perfect offense for him because it allows him to be his best self. He's got a great coach. I saw, you know, Shotty went right over there and hugged him and CD. Man, it was all smiles. They understood as men that the mistake was made, the price was paid, and they moved on. You know, it was no contention. You don't get that every day, right? So that let me know that the culture is where it needs to be, and the accountability is there. So I would, if I was him, if I was his, you know, if I could give him some counsel, I would say go in and negotiate in good faith, and don't let what I call the numerical I'm the highest paid be your driver. Is this the right situation for me?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're still talking about a floor of $120 million for 4 years. That's like your floor.
Right.
So what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? With no state tax and all the endorsement deals that you get for being in Dallas, that this is easy. And then you're talking about you want to make an easy 120, play with number 88 on the other side of you and number 4 as your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You got a young offensive line, like you got the pieces there for you to be successful. You can go to other teams and make all that money and just struggle, and that's that's a tough situation. We're not going to get into it, but for the most part, this is what we got with the offense. Not a whole bunch to say other than that Dak 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 438 yards passing. Great day. 115 yards rushing. No turnovers with the fumbles. I don't think there was any fumbles. There was turnover. And that's just a complete game. And honestly, they had a 40-point game. I don't know how CD dropped that pass at the end on the goal line. It looked like he just lost the ball or something like that. But
I think sometimes when you're that wide open, I think he maybe sometimes you lose the lights a little bit. Sometimes you snap your head around because you're close to that goal line, and it was just one of those. moving a little bit faster than what you needed.
And I think the ball got on faster than he thought. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But I mean, that's a 40-point right there. So you got what you want there. So, moving forward here, really to wrap this game up. I mean, the coaching was solid on both ends. I don't think the Raiders did too much crazy there. The field goal kickers made their kicks. I almost thought Turpin was going to break one.
I did too. Yeah, he jumped through there. He jumped through there on the kickoff.
Dude, that's a scary dude, bro.
Yeah,
I know you was a fast guy. You was a fast guy, and I used to return kicks, man. When you see a guy like that come and he break through that first initial surge, it almost looked like it's over immediately. God, man.
It's his speed, and it's so sudden, and it's scary. One. For me watching it's scary because I'm like, oh man, he like I said, he can go at any time. But when he gets hit, man, every hit, I can't lie, man. Every hit he takes,
he's so small.
I'm like, is he okay? Because he's so small. But he's fearless, and that's the way you got to play that position. You gotta go in full tilt. And I do think we talked about that too, which is that third phase, which it got you guys off to some really good field position situations that opens up the playbook, right? So I thought your special teams were very solid. You had a few balls on the ground, but most of them came after the guy was already down. Yeah. And Pickens and CD, I thought this was one of their cleanest games as far as the route running, as far as the catching, and then just the run after catch, that touchdown that Pickens made. 6'5" guy shouldn't be able to move like that. And for those, and I know you're a running back, cutting off that inside leg is insane, and not losing speed he's a freak. So this is a get right game that you guys got right. You got a tough stretch here the rest of the way in. Got some positive vibes back in the building. A great kind of honoring, Marshawn Nealon and his memory. I really thought, it was well done with the jersey, the T-shirts, the shirts that the coaching staff and the Cowboys staff wore. A night like tonight is obviously tough emotionally, and you guys came out of the bell.
The pregame. National anthem, man. That was special, man. Like, this is what these guys play for, man. And they put out a lot of sacrifice out there, and you could just see, man, that was an emotional game for everybody. It was a big game, so it's sad too, man. I
shout out there, and then, sorry I cut you off, but just seeing his jersey, which is crazy because 2 weeks ago he's fallen on a touchdown in the end zone, and now we're looking at a lonely jersey hanging on that's wrapped around a hanger. So it's kind of surreal too. You really see in that situation, and you're like, geez, man, it's tough. So being able to play for your brother, and we both played a game that's hard and that's tough, and to be able to go out and execute at a high level, I think it gave you guys a level of focus that really shone through tonight. So I was proud of the Cowboys, of the coaching staff, having them ready. And they talked about that in the broadcast of, Jerry and managing brass was very proud of how Shotty handled these last 2 weeks.
Shout out to Shotty, man. He's ready. He's ready for this moment. Like, you can't throw much more at him than this. And he's handled it. I just, honestly, the most impressive thing that I saw was Pickens and CD sitting out, because here you are, you're coming off a bye, you have to win, you're on national television, you got a player who passed away, and you have to move on past that, and you still have a standard of discipline that says, if you cross the line, I gotta sit you. Yeah, bro, that's serious, man. Like,
and
how many coaches would have been like, man,
look past it,
look right past it. And that's what we was talking about, building a system. You're doing it with Ben Johnson. It's a system, and it's a culture that is not just player specific, and it's just like, Jimmy's and Joe's, but there's a standard that you have to play to, no matter who you are and no matter who crosses that threshold.
Yeah, so and I saw that was a great thing, and like to your point, like we talked about earlier, just the understanding of those two players too, right? How many times have we seen that go left, where players feel like, they bigger than the team, they bigger than the brand, and they took it like men, and they didn't want to make it about them. They were responsible, and also
did you see the urgency when they came in the game or not?
Man, and that was my next point. Dak, he was barking, and at the end of the first quarter, they had the boom mics were catching the sound. Yeah. He was barking at the offense, man. Let's get back on this other side of the football. He was locked in, and I think that standard I think some of that's coming from Dak, to where he understands the urgency of this season and what needed to happen. So, a big shout out to just Shotty, the accountability of Dak. We give these quarterbacks a lot of heat when things aren't done the right way. We give the coaches a lot of heat when things aren't done the right way. And this was, a moment where I felt like in all aspects, this situation, along with what I call the team culture and management, that had to happen. A lot of moving pieces, but this is one of those situations where Shotty played all the right cards in that situation and came out smelling like roses.
And on that note, we'll wrap up the Cowboys and the Raiders. Wrap that game up 33-16. Cowboys go to 4-5-1. They play some team out of Philly that may be in the division. May be kind of good, maybe won the Super Bowl last year. So we'll see them next week, and we'll have plenty of time to discuss that and break that down.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I didn't look. Is that a home or away game? That's a home. That's a home game. Yeah.
Yep, because the first game was away. First game of the season was in Philly when they got their ring, right?
So that's perfect. Yeah, you guys get them at home.
Yep, at home. Okay. So we'll see, and I certainly think that the guys will be. This was a good enough game to get them ready for that to move forward. And I think, on that same premise of culture building, team starting to grow, let's look at Chicago, man, coming back into Minnesota after they lost their first game earlier in the season. And actually, the script for this game was almost the same. It seemed like it was the same thing.
Eerily similar.
It literally was. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. If they lose the same way they lost in the same form last time, Spencer's gonna be sick, man. He's gonna be sick about this one. So, but this is something that I see, and like I said, same topic. I think that the Bears are slowly but surely becoming an actual team that has a culture and a standard that says this isn't acceptable, and this is not how we play, and we finish games. And the Bears go into Minnesota, beat the Vikings 19-17, a walk-off field goal by Cairo Santos. Let's look at the Minnesota Vikings offense versus the Bears defense, and I can tell you, for me, we talked about this and we were prophetic again. Let me tell y'all something. If you're listening to HMSA, right? We're trying to tell you there's a reason why we call it the Sports Academy, man. We talk about these games and these previews of these games, and we give you the insight. The thing that we talked about, if the Vikings were going to win the game, it was going to be hinged on, and I know this is not, prophetic, but J.J. McCarthy was either going to be the thing that either got them over the top or caused them to not be able to win. And he was killing Minnesota all game long. They could not do anything on offense. Chicago had him stymied. He struggled. He was 3 and out. He was not moving the ball. The receivers were getting frustrated. What was Dennis Allen doing that had McCarthy so befuddled from what you saw?
Yeah, I think Dennis went into this this game, and I think his whole perspective was, we're going to make you make some throws, right? And until you show us that you can beat us making throws, well, we're not going to bring pressure. So you saw a lot of the double mug look where we came up to the line and we fell out of it. And a few of those throws, I call them layer throws, where you got to throw over a linebacker and in between that safety and corner. And
that's an NFL throw. We saw Dak make one of those.
Beautiful. Yeah. Over the linebacker.
It's an art. It's an all-pro type of throw. It's a very hard throw.
And they liken it to having a different club in your bag. A lot of these quarterbacks want to throw the fastballs, and that takes time to be able to come up with that type of confidence. And really it's artistry, right? When you look at the elite quarterbacks, they begin to understand, what type of throw to make for what situation. And it's a split second decision. McCarthy, he was coming off that hand injury, which we talked about. So I don't think he had a ton of live rep practice time, what I call, to a lot of KOC's offense is built off timing. And Dennis Allen threw a little bit of an off speed pitch, and we didn't blitz him as much, and we dared him to make some layered throws. Rewind against the Giants, and Jackson Dart made a couple of those throws, right? So from my perspective, McCarthy he's just young. I think he's gonna be good. He's got a lot of pressure on him. You get into these big markets where they make you the guy. And remember, Minnesota shipped away two quarterbacks who are in the MVP discussion, right? You got Daniel Jones in Indy, who's doing very well, and then you got your boy Sam Darnold in Seattle, and they're playing at a very high level, and he's coming back off of what I call an injury, and it's tough, right? You're at home, you're coming off a loss to the Ravens, and this is a game we talked about them being desperate and needing it. So I think he was just juiced up too, right? A lot of those passes were high, and they were a little bit off, not because of him not being able to throw them. I just think he was juiced up. And Dennis is also smart to where he disguised a few coverages, showed him a little eye candy, backed out of it, and played with his eyes a little bit. And we actually got a little bit of pass rush. He threw an interception to Kevin, Byard. We finally got some pressure from Grady Jarrett, got around his legs, and you saw him take a shot to Nashawn Wright, man. Once again, the price is right.
I forgot to text you. I forgot to text you, man. I had a whole speech for you about Nashawn, man.
Nashawn, he was playing with a heavy heart. His college coach had passed away, and man, he's so long and angular. He right before the half, McCarthy he took a shot and risked it, and Nashawn baited him into an interception, right? So to your point, he played what I call probably a C-, probably a D+ game up until the last 4 minutes of that game, when he drove the team down and put them up. When he threw that touchdown pass to Addison, he ripped that one in there. But I told Bear Nation, you give up 17 points in NFL. To me, that's a great defensive effort. The offense should be enough to go in and win. And the defense got 2 turnovers. And we got off the field a lot of 3 and outs. So from my perspective, Dennis went in and said, you know what? We're not going to let him, beat us with a quick strike to jet us, and we'll keep it in front of us. And I thought it was a really good defensive game plan, considering, again, our secondary is down, 2 key guys. So I thought it was very well played. So yeah, HMSA, man, we're giving you guys, and that's why I'm getting the text messages for the previews. People want to hear us and get out and get to the water cooler and give knowledge. And I'm more than happy to give it. You guys might not want to believe us, but check our track record, man. We've been pretty spot on with this stuff. So Minnesota's offense sputtered for, I would say, 3 minutes of a 60-minute ball game, and somehow ended up ahead with 50 seconds left. Which, if you would have saw me in my room watching the game, it took me back to that first game, and I was in shock. I'm like, how do we get here again? We'll talk about that a little later, but it was very, very deflating to see us let them back in the game in that fashion. Yeah. Well,
and in doing so, we're going to have to talk about the offense of Chicago and Minnesota's defense. Looking at that, Minnesota's defense did just enough to keep them in the game and not let you guys pull away, not let Chicago pull away. And that was the one thing that when I was looking at the game and the game flow, McCarthy just could not get any traction. He could not get going. He kept struggling. He just would not get off the mat. But I kept looking up at the score, and it was.
I'm gonna give you an analogy, and the Chicago Bears offense right now is a fighter who gets ahead on points and can't finish. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a knockout blow right now.
Yeah.
And then, you have a guy on the ropes and the bell, 10 seconds left, and we got him where he's just about to fall, and then we can't finish him. And then he comes back and he get a little blow in the corner, and he comes back out and, makes it a fight and dirties it back up. And, we're basically going to the scorecard, man, to where we're leaving it in the judge's hands to make these decisions. Two things about the Bears offense. They're going to have to get a killer instinct, right? And I think that's going to come with time. When you get these turnovers early, we can knock a lot of teams out and blow these games open. But I also think, and hear me out, because we get off the biggest weakness in our team right now is a lack of a closing pass rusher. So when teams have to throw the ball, they actually playing into our biggest weakness on defense, because now Dennis is able to scheme up blitzes in what I call the normal flow of a game. When you get in those 2-minute and those no huddle situations, you and I both know it's much harder to sell out that way. And he shows the double mug look, but oftentimes it's just disguised in a zone. So, it actually leads to us being in our most disadvantageous situation on our defense, because we don't have a great closing pass rusher, and we don't have our top defensive backs in to really cover. So it allows teams. That's why you see a Cincinnati game where we're up, 14 points with 2 minutes left, and somehow they get back in the game. So I'm not making excuses, just giving the fans the why. So Bear Nation, we're going to get healthier. I think, as you get older.
Johnson's coming back. I just cannot believe.
But this is why. And this is the strength of the team. And I was telling my wife, I thought about it on the drive in. Ben has been able, through his preparation, when you're well prepared, and we're Navy guys, we're military guys, and when you are prepared for a situation, what do? React. You don't think. You're just going down and your checklist of what needs to happen, right? And being able to compartmentalize in that way, and being able to being as structured in the way to where he gives us the best opportunity to really, really, really be well equipped for these, what I call stressful situations, whether it be 50 seconds and 3 timeouts looks not as daunting when you're only down 1, right? And your special teams coach, and Richard Hightower, I was about to throw him out I've been ready to throw him out off you put Blue on ice. I've been ready to take Richard out to the pasture for the last, 8 weeks, and somehow he calls a wrap kickoff return where he noticed the edge of their kickoff return losing contain, and we run a wrap kickoff return and bust it for 60 yards. And right out the gates, we basically in field goal range, within one play.
Offense, defense, special teams, right? This game was probably a stalemate, offense and defense, when you look at the fact that your offense had done better earlier, but the Vikings defense kind of kept you at bay and kept you from getting putting the game away, right? Putting it away and closing it, right? And then Minnesota's offense struggled, but stayed alive long enough to close at the end. So you give both of them a kind of a push based on that. And that's why you have the score 1 point game in the fourth quarter. And what makes the difference? The special teams. You kick off and you get a return and you get a kick. And that's like, dude, that's so apropos right now, the way this game closed out.
And Shotty's been listening to obviously Shotty is a subscriber. We got to go check our subscriber list. And I think Ben Johnson is a subscriber. Shotty fed Pickens early, often, late, and got him to rock. And why the hell are we going for 2 and why are we going for it on 4th down? Ben Johnson actually buttoned it up and took points. And we actually tried to go up 9 and Cairo missed the kick. But this is the other piece. Flores threw us what I call, he came with the high heat, man. He brought out the closer from the jump. They blitzed us 66% of the game, which is insane, right? So with that type of aggression, I think Ben looked at it and he said, you know what, we just gonna button it up. And we went under center and we got physical, and it turned into what I call a game where we just didn't have enough plays to punch it in the end zone, but we constantly moved the ball and we controlled the clock, but we gave ourselves a chance to win. And I thought that was positive. And he trusted Cairo. In the waning moments, it was 3rd and 8, and we ran a damn full halfback dive right at him, got 7. Got on the hash that Cairo wanted, his favorite hash, got on the right hash because he has a natural, left to right break, draw on that ball, and boom, punch it right through, man. We celebrate and run it off the field, right? And I will say, when you talk about culture and establishing different ways to win and being what I call buttoned up and prepared, these are games that we lost. Not just under Flus, we lost them under Nagy towards the end where, whether it be through what I call just poor execution or being stubborn on, a game plan, Flus and Ben Johnson are night and day. And I think this was a situation where everybody's asking, how do we keep winning these games? And I think a major portion of it is the preparedness of the team and the understanding the situations. Is not much that surprise them, and they feel very calm in those moments. We don't feel as chaotic as we used to feel. And even I'm looking at Ben, he's calling timeout with 4 seconds. I'm like, why is he calling it with 4 seconds? Normally it's 3. He's like, nah, anything, 45 yards and out, it's going to take that ball 4 seconds to go through the up. We don't want to leave any time on the clock, right? So it's the little things and the maniacal mindset of Ben to be prepared for every situation. And I thought Caleb, this was one of his better games, man. We did, again, another game with no turnovers. I thought this was also very interesting. We talked about the Bears. He coaches, we don't reach for first downs. We don't reach at pylons. And the media asked him about, hey, why didn't, Caleb, take a couple of shots with Coast and Loveland about the 50-50 balls? And he gave a very interesting answer. He said, we don't believe in 50-50 balls. That's not what we coach. He said, we scheme up things to get guys open. And, that's the way we run our offense. So, again, I'm knocking on wood. When you look at our turnover ratio, we had 0 turnovers. They had 2. And, when you look at these close games on the road, we gave ourselves a chance to win. And that's really what it's all about, giving yourself a chance to win in every opportunity.
Beautiful, man. And I think when you look at this, it's like what you're building, like you're building your winning muscles, if you will, the mental muscle memory, if you will, on how to close these games out down the stretch. You've done it so many times now. The Raiders game, the Washington game, this game right here, the Giants game, and just being able to have a plan down the stretch and to do so. And that's really what these close games against division opponents and stuff like that, that's really what they look like. There's no games where you go, where you came up like when Dallas came to town and they turned the ball over early a couple of times, and then and then CD gets hurt and you just run away. That's an outlier. You play that game 10 times, 9 times, it's going to be a 2-point, 3-point, game one way or another. And so this is really what you want to strengthen. And so I applaud that these lessons are being learned. You can see where Caleb is in the pocket, he's controlling, he's executing, and then later in the game when something breaks down, he uses his legs then and he scrambles and gets it. And it's a backbreaker because people forget that he's really that quick and that mobile. And when he uses it, it's just sudden. It just kind of jumps on you. And next thing you know, man, he'll eat you up for 8-9 yards just like quick.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you about. And I got a ton of text messages and calls from everyone, saying, you guys are 7-3, but it's versus, a weak schedule and weaker opponents. And we've had that conversation too in the past around certain teams. I go back and name 2, the Commanders last year, and then Minnesota kind of won in similar fashion 2 years ago, I think, where they rolled off some victories. And I think for us, this is a little bit different because we're a little bit ahead of schedule in the sense of, when you talked about it, the roster not being where it needs to be. So I liken it to learning how to drive, so Ben is, these first, 10 games is really us going out in the parking lot, kind of driving and learning, how to maneuver the vehicle, what we can and can't do. The next half, the remaining 7, we got to take it on the expressway. We got to get out there and we got to do it, with live motion around us and make quick decisions and be able to function in that way. What do you think about us and the critics saying that we haven't beat anybody and this is just, it's more fluky than it is an indication that we're truly a contending team?
Look, when you close games out down the stretch, and you win games and the walk-off fashion, like some of the things like with the Commanders we're doing and some of that stuff like the year before, it's just certain ways that you go about it that make sense and that don't. And it's like, when you look at the Commanders in the playoffs and they had Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay had control of the game down the stretch, trying to win the game. And somehow randomly Baker Mayfield fumbles a handoff, a snap.
Right.
And they end up falling on it and end up, winning that game. The Hail Mary situation that they had, to me, those types of games, that's not really sustainable.
Right.
But when I started off, when we talked about Chicago, I talked about building your muscles and your culture muscles and stuff, because these are really how most games are each week, where it's back and forth. You think you got them wrapped up and you don't. You're controlling the game and so forth, and you're not. A situation, and they come in, and then you have to find a way to pull it out. To me, this is more sustainable. And I also look at this as where the system that you're implementing isn't fully refined. The personnel that you need to run Dennis Allen's system isn't all there. And so when you start to add those other pieces, then the gap starts to open a little bit more when you have your top players. And so that's why I feel like this is actually, a little bit of a calm before the storm, because to me, you look at what he was doing, Ben Johnson in Detroit, once he had a full complement of players and the type of pieces that he wanted, he's starting to build to that. But you're not going to get them players in the middle of the year. Like, you can't really trade, you can't really get all of those pieces. Jahmyr Gibbs ain't coming through the damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to draft that type of guy, and you have to draft the right type of offensive lineman and stuff like that. So you can't do all of that in one season, but this is sustainable. I don't think that, say for instance, I keep going back to the Commanders because they had a lot of like last second wins and stuff last year.
That's seven or eight of them, really 7 or 8.
I didn't think that their offensive system is a sustainable system, because it requires too much of a college style offense where it's an RPO and running. The quarterback is relied upon to run and make plays. There's a lot of execution with the receivers in which the reads are very simple and stuff like that, and it's based on the receiver having to do damage to get open, and that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's reassuring. I also looked at it too. When you look at a team, I look at things historically. Normally, your better teams, the Patriots come to mind, right? And I'm not comparing us to the Patriots by any means, as far as the dynasty that they built and winning all those championships. But Brady made, and Belichick made burning through that AFC East or whatever that is, with it wasn't a great division, so you can almost pencil them in for 5-1. Just based off of the division, and then they beat who they were supposed to beat. So I do think there's a level of culture building to where you're handling business against teams that you're supposed to beat. With us, I talked about us playing our best football in December, and we're getting so many different looks on the defensive side that it's almost you're just filing them away for, like, again, I talked about how young we are. Burden, Manungai, Caleb, Rome. You look at Coast and Loveland. These are all guys, first, second year guys who haven't been through these types of situations. But I tell you what, going into this second half of the season, they're going to be much more prepared to deal with a Lions team. And the back half of the season, we got the Packers twice. They're aggressive. They're going to be very similar to the Eagles. So they're going to have more in their data bank to lean into, to say, hey, when the guys do this, now we can do that. When we did this, it didn't work, and I missed the block. So a lot of what we're going through, Bear Nation, offensively, I know we're there, and it's frustrating. Caleb missed, and I talked about it. There was some explosive plays early on that we just missed that I think would have blown that game open, where we could have got some quick strikes. Against Flores, when he's blitzing like that, you got to make him pay. And when we couldn't back him off, it's almost like a wild damn dog, man. He just like, I'm going to keep sending him until you do something to stop me. And we just couldn't get that big play to back them off. So they played with relatively 9 and 8 guys in the box. And you know what we did? Ben said, you got me. We're not clicking offensively to the point to hurt you deep because the pressure's getting in, but we will line up and go ISO and duo. You want to play that style of football. So we actually out-physicaled them, which was amazing, and control the clock. And Caleb was able to navigate that game where we didn't have any truly negative plays. He put the ball in some tight windows. We had a couple of drops that killed drives, but all in all, I felt like we played to what I call an acceptable standard. Was it perfect? No, but this was. You look at how look at the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks of what this Vikings defense has been doing. They befuddled Lamar Jackson too. I think he was 175, 1 touchdown. He didn't throw for a ton of yards on these guys. And you in that loud ass dome, and they scolding, and thunder clapping all over the damn place. And the game tilted on us and went sideways, very similar in game 1. So I was proud of how we responded, because it's easy to fall into that, woe is me, and this is happening again, and crumble. And we showed some mettle of growth from game 1 to game, 10 for us. And I was proud of how we responded to a game that went sideways, man. So, in my eyes, I thought it was another, I take a road win. I'm not apologizing for being 7-3. And I'm gonna put the first place, my first place, the Kings of the North, and Bear Nation. Hear me out, man. I'm not saying we go and celebrate. Everybody who knows me know I love cigars. I'm not bringing the cigar out. I'm gonna hold on to the stogie, and I'm not celebrating anything. But we've had enough down years to where I want us to enjoy this season along the way. I'm not saying it's over, but we don't have to be so critical to where when the team is winning, we're still living in a space of negativity and the sky is falling. We got Pittsburgh this week. Enjoy it. We haven't been on top of the division since 2018. So here we are. Who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd be the number 3 team in the NFC, man?
Hold up. You got Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers in his back and his bum left hand.
Yeah, he's got a fractured wrist, and hell, I'll give him my wrist. I want him. I want Aaron, Mr. Discount Double Check. I own you. I would love and Bear fans, if you remember, we got a chance to end Brett Favre's reign in Minnesota and kicked him out of the division. Can't do the same with Aaron Rodgers division-wise, but we owe him a nice parting gift. So I'm hoping the treatment, maybe they fly him out to Germany, do some platelet rejuvenation, or I'll cut my wrist and send him my wrist bone. He can have mine to be able to go. I want him. I don't want to hear no excuses, man. So enjoy it, Bears fans. We the third team in the league, man, in the conference.
Y'all got Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers and his bum hand, I'm taking everything back. Y'all, I'm taking everything back. Hold up. Y'all got Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers with his broken hand.
Hey, Flukes ain't the only one flying to Haiti, man. I got family in Miami, so that Fort Lauderdale trip about 2.5 hours, man. So I can get to Port-au-Prince in about 4. So Bears fans, enjoy it. 7-3. On top of the division, we control our own destiny. The rest of the way.
There's Allen out there burning sage.
Oh man. Any way possible, man. We gotta make it happen. So if you see me at MIA, if you see me at Fort Lauderdale with my passport headed to Port-au-Prince, or you see me on a cruise ship with a black hoodie on and some shades, it's not me. It's not me.
Y'all sprinkling all types of black dust over these teams, man. The hell? Look, man, look. You don't never have to apologize to NFL for winning when you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You take them as you can get them. But this team is a young team that's growing and developing and stuff, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And that doesn't mean from here on out every year Chicago is just going to be better and better and better and better. And they're going to never have any bad seasons. But the point is you're putting together a foundational system here and an organization in which it's not dependent on, oh, my quarterback's got to be amazing, or this guy's got to do this, and this is the only way, it is going to work. This is sustainable. So, you could easily next year you could play better and have a worse record because you got a first place schedule. You know what I'm saying?
And no, I completely agree. And we know the intricacies every year is different. I think what I'm trying to lean into is as you expunge some of the negative culture, some of the guys who aren't used to this type of standard. What you have is a bunch of young core guys who don't have what I call core bad memories of losing and failing. And that was one thing. Kevin Byard ran off the field, and this ain't your same Bears, man. The book that was out on the Bears was, we're mentally weak. We'll find a way to lose a game. We'll give it back to you. Just hang in there. And, that narrative is shifting. And the Kyle Monanguys, the Luther Burdens, the Colston Lovelands, the Caleb Williams, in about 2 years, they were like, what the hell are you talking about? Every game we've been close, we don't want a clip of like 80% of them, right? Yeah. So, it's nice to see us start to, shift that narrative. And it's also good to see, turn that tide. And it's also good to see Ben Johnson's imprint on this organization around what I call just being stable. And again, we talked about it with Shotty, but holding the standard of, expectation where you're not, again, we're not throwing a parade because we're 7-3, but the expectation is, we expect to win, we prepare to win, we go in, with a mindset that we're ready for anything that's thrown at us. We know in the NFL, every game, what's the red zone, where it's the witching hour, where wins turn to losses and losses turns to win. And if you look at it, it's a thin line between winning and losing these games. So I'm never going to apologize, but you made me feel better, man, because everybody tried to rain on my parade and tell me my Bears, we're 7-3 because it's a fluke. And I was in a different space, because I'm like, man, we really ahead of schedule with how we performing.
You could be ahead of schedule, and you could be on track and so forth. But like I said, I think the difference between this and some of the other things I saw, like Minnesota and stuff like that, it just wasn't going to be sustainable the way it was going with them. And so forth. It just wasn't a system that was going to be there. With the next year, you could just build off of that and so forth, and create. So it's just different to me. And I would be the first one to say that this is a house of cards. If I felt like, your offensive system and your defensive system was a house of cards, and it's just like all they got to do is just see the film on it. That's what you had with Washington and Arizona, under Cliff Kingsbury and that type of system. That's not. I just don't think it's sustainable, man. Like I said, we already see the issues with it already, and even Dan Quinn's system. The problem people talk about is with Dallas, they keep going back to Dan Quinn's system and talking about, man, with Dan Quinn. But that system is based on playing with a lead, being able to get downhill, sending people and blitzing. It's not a system that's really sustainable when you play, unless you have so many dominant players. But when you get into playoffs, Dallas got torched over and over and over. You couldn't stop the run. If you run an offense that's a high motion offense with a lot of different movement and a lot of motion, you couldn't keep up. You're trying to play man to man, and guys is getting lost. It's just not sustainable. It's just not.
And this was the other piece, and then we'll move on to the Lakers. But I said, I had a conversation with myself and said, you know what? How all of a sudden are we, lucky? Last time I checked, damn near every game that we played, we weren't favored to win, right? So it's not like we coming in and everybody's, these are games you're supposed to win, and we're closing these teams out. These are games where out of 8, pundits, 6 or 7 have said we're gonna lose it, and we finding a way to win it. So a part of me feels like a lot of it is talking out of both sides of your mouth. You don't expect us to win, and then when we do win, then it's no credit given, and I'm okay with that. You don't need to give us credit.
No.
If anything, it's probably better for us at this point of what we're doing right now, because it keeps us on task. It keeps us from getting too ahead of ourselves. This was the first week where we got a lot of what I call positive media love. They did a really nice piece on Caleb Williams and before the game around him, being clutch and his growth. And I thought it was really, really well done. But as a team, I think there's still that level of, this is fool's gold. And like you said, it's a house of cards. And it very, very well may be when it all comes down to the end. But we already said this is not a Super Bowl contending team. So why are we holding ourselves to that standard at the moment, right?
Yeah, coaches, the coach is too good, the system's too strong, and the quarterback is too talented for it to be a house of cards. And and the quarterback is not an injury-prone guy and stuff like that. So some of the stuff you're looking at with some of these other teams, I don't give a damn what you say. I still don't believe in damn Bo Nix in Denver. I just can't. I know they've done it. They're 9-2. They did this. I just can't, man. I just don't. Yeah. I feel like for some reason it's just right now. Now on the other side, the other 9-2, I think the Patriots.
Patriots. Yeah.
I look at Buffalo, man, and Buffalo. Your window. Man, they gave y'all 5 years. They gave y'all 5 years of down seasons to figure it out.
I know it's gonna sound crazy. I was listening to it on the way into work, but they almost if Buffalo is if it goes the way we think it's gonna go, as far as the end of this season, I don't think Buffalo wins the division, right? So they probably come in.
Yeah, they're running out of games.
Yeah, I think, the Patriots win a division, which makes them a wild card team, which actually makes their road to win a Super Bowl easier, because Josh Allen, if they make it to the divisional round, they'll be dealing with they'll be dealing with a Bo Nix, a damn Drake May, and it's another young quarterback that Josh Allen should, outplay. So
probably
they'll have a very
another young quarterback. Or
Trevor Lawrence, right? So again, they might get the test hard in the first in that wild card game, and if they pass that test, then it's really up to Josh Allen
actually
to get to the Super Bowl.
Actually, the way it's set up is flip flop, where Baltimore or Buffalo or Kansas City might all be wild card teams.
Correct.
And they probably won't cross paths into the AFC Championship game because their seeding is so low. They would never play each other. They're just going to keep playing higher seeds on both sides until they end up in the AFC Championship. They could both still end up in the AFC Championship game and go through a whole bunch of teams that's their first year really establishing themselves at the top of the league. Correct. Indianapolis Colts, you know what I'm saying? And so, out of them teams,
there you go. Sorry, Danny Dimes. You're right.
Yeah, Danny Dimes, Indianapolis. Drake May, he hasn't been there before. That New England coach.
What I'm saying is they're gonna kill them. They're gonna kill each other in the wild card round, right? So you figure Drake May, Bo Nix, and what's the other guy we just talked about? Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
If that's left over for Josh Allen, who are you picking? You got to go. Josh Allen got that pressure. Yeah, you got Danny Dimes. So these are all guys they should beat. But you're right. The Buffalo window, they played what I call a barn burner against Tampa Bay, but it wasn't pretty. There was a couple of boneheaded turnovers by Josh Allen and Bass. If you watch him, because Bass has been a huge a pundit and calling out Josh Allen for being boneheaded and mistake prone with his play and his recklessness. He might be proven right if they don't get it done this year. So yeah, you're right. The Patriots, I watched them against the Jets, and I looked at Drake May and I said, man, McDaniels and Vrabel, they have something going, and they got about $100 million more left in cap space for next season to build around that. And they spent, I want to say, about $100 million this year. I don't know how they did it, but they added some very key pieces. So yeah, the Patriots look like I said, we can't compare this season and next season because you never know what can happen. But I think foundationally, they got a great foundation moving forward, right? In that AFC.
Man, we're going to the Lakers, but if Stephon Diggs goes to New England and take them down to an AFC championship before he does and he knock out Buffalo, you ain't gonna never shut that dude up, man. My God.
He's got it. You know what, man? We talked about needing certain guys in the locker room and Vrabel and that. In Tennessee, I think he overachieved with a lesser roster, and this might be his first, what I call, really talented roster. That Mac Hollins and Stephon Diggs mix, it doesn't look great on paper, but man, everybody knows their roles. You know, McDaniels has always been a system guy with that all quarterback friendly, system guy, from Kyle Orton to Tom Brady to, all of the other quarterbacks that did well underneath his tutelage. He just wasn't a great head coach. So yeah, you called it out perfectly. This New England team is the real deal, and they're gonna be a tough out come January.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little Lakers, man.
Lakers,
you out in California. Lakers. Yeah.
So Lakers come off of a 5-game road trip. They went 3-2 on a road trip. Excellent road trip. The tough loss was to OKC. The surprising loss was to Atlanta, but now Atlanta has won 5 in a row. So they're starting to catch get their legs up under them and start to play to their strength because the roster is good. Atlanta has an excellent roster.
They do.
They just have had a lot of injuries. So we didn't expect a lot from them right now. But the bottom line is the Lakers sitting at 10-4. I think they're in 3rd or 4th in the Western Conference, on pace to win 59 games. And this is without LeBron James playing at all. Luka and Austin have only played 6 games together. They've missed multiple games from Marcus Smart. They've had games missed from DeAndre Ayton. They've had games missed from Rui. They've had games missed from Gabe Vincent. Maxi Kleber just got back. Thiero, the rookie, just got back. This team has not been whole the entire season, and they are, right there at one of the teams that's in the top 15 in both offense and defense efficiency. They run a style of offense that is just a nightmare to deal with their pick and roll. The ball handling is incredible, and the playmaking is incredible. And you got LeBron James lurking, and I just think this team is poised to do some damage.
You're sitting at after tonight they're 4th in the West, and they got a 24-5-5 guy by the name of LeBron Ramon James, who's ready to make his debut and ramping up to come join. And all we heard the last couple of weeks is, how can he fit in? He's only been playing basketball at a high level for 23 years. He's played with other stars. He's fit in many situations. The last thing I'm worried about is LeBron James and him coming in here and messing up the success and the chemistry of the team right now. We talked about it a lot this offseason around the right pieces that we needed. And DeAndre Ayton, you got LaRavia, who great, what I call support role players, doing the dirty work, smart. We went down the line of you talk about how do you get better? 1, you bring some talent in. 2, you get healthier. And 3, you get guys, improving. And we hit the trifecta. We got Rui with career numbers. We got Austin Reeves with career numbers. Luka only dropped 30 pounds. and is on a damn mission. He's averaging, close to 38 a game. I think was his latest average, making it look easy. And defensively, I'm
He's actually
probably
playing well defensively.
yeah. He's sitting in the chair. He's engaged, and
Steals.
Steele and DeAndre Ayton and his rim protection, Laravia's two-way production. And I looked up, and who do I see but another athletic young talent? What is it? The young rookie. I don't even know how to say his name, but
Thiero.
Man, he got his first fast break dump, and he about tore the hinges out of the rim, dunking, and you could see that his athleticism and defensive prowess jumping off the screen in just a short little stint that he got out there. Yep. Maxi Kleber looks in great shape and providing some depth. And then I looked around and I said, geesh, man, Nick Smith Jr., a fifth option as a ball handler, held his water on the road trip. And then you look at, what I said is Gabe Vincent, who's been out, who started off the season pretty hot, and he'll be back. So, yeah, we honestly, this is the best situation the Lakers could be in right now, considering all of the injuries and the DNPs of the roster this early on. I'm excited about what this could gel into. JJ's a high-strung guy, so I know the two losses, man, he looked like he was about to tear somebody's head off against OKC and against Atlanta. But I do think, when I look at Vanderbilt, when I look at Rui, when I look at just the depth, Jackson Hayes, the energy that he brought, my mind can't help but fast forward to say, how do we take advantage of this in the regular season to where we don't burn guys out and we try to stay as healthy as possible? And two, do we go into the playoffs with a 8 to 9 man rotation of, what I call pieces that we can throw at different teams depending on the matchup where we can get high level play. So what's your thoughts there around how do we navigate this roster with all of the health improvement and also the guys playing at a high level? So a lot of these guys deserve minutes, right? Everybody's kind of what I call deserving of some minutes here. So how do you manage that? And I didn't even mention Dalton Connect, who's played very well, this season.
Yeah, JJ talked about, just reinforcing the level of comfort and confidence in players that may not even be in the rotation some nights, but knowing that if we need to depend on them, that they can recall on certain games and certain moments to be able to come in. I mean, Bronny started a game and played and was effective and held his own. And so there's like nobody on the team that doesn't come in and try to give something positive. Now, the other team that we play against gets a paycheck as well, so they're going to have their moments and have success and and so forth and so on. That's not the point. The point is everyone has a role. They know what to do. They come in with a game plan and they try to play to that strength. Whether or not the other team can take them off of it and has the talent to do so is a whole different ball of wax. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is JJ has these guys to the point where whatever role they're in, he can trust that they'll try to play in that role. And he knows that there are limitations there, but they're going to be doing whatever they do at that level, the best they can do. And that's all you can ask for night in and night out. And the bottom line is when you have, LeBron and Austin and Luka and Rui and Smart and Ayton, and you have all of these guys that are literally capable of giving you 20. Any of them guys can give you 20 to 30 any night. And so when you have that type of firepower, all the other guys have to do is assimilate and like mix in. And
Right.
LeBron said it today. He's like, when we talked this dumbass question about him fitting in. He said it. He said, man, let me tell you something. I have worked my butt off to be the most complete player, one of the most complete players in the NBA. There is not one team in the NBA that if you put me on, I cannot figure out a way to assimilate.
Ingratiate myself,
He said that today. Yeah. So for all of those who try to come to that conclusion, that is impossible.
Right. And let me play devil's advocate. Let me buy into what you're saying. Even if he did, God forbid, that was the case, then what do? Just fall back to where we just fall back to where we were before he was there anyway, which was a 10-4 team. Right. So the reality is, if you put LeBron James in a high pick and roll because you got a double Luka and you're tossing the ball and it's 4-on-3 and he's getting downhill, I trust he makes solid decisions.
Every single time.
He's going to make solid decisions. I think the reality of where he is in his career right now, we talked about it a bunch, which is this ideal situation for him to where he doesn't have to work as hard in the regular season. He can save some strain on his body to where, he shouldn't be over 25, 30 minutes some nights against some of these teams. And he can let, these young guys do the heavy lifting. So when we get to the playoffs, he's fine-tuned similar to a Tim Duncan back in the 2012, the 2014 time frame, when the Spurs got the best out of Tim Duncan in his tail end of his career. LeBron is going to be fine. What we're seeing now is a team, and I underestimated, and JJ talked about it, championship shape, right? The Lakers look to be in extremely great shape. You don't see a drop off like we saw in last season, where we get to the third quarter and you kind of see the tail off of energy. And maybe that's because of the bodies that we can throw out there. Last game, they threw Vando out there almost like an afterthought a little bit. And I was like, geez, I forgot, Vando, not that he was on the team. I forgot he hadn't played, and he brought so much energy. Luka doesn't have to, kill himself. He's getting, 30 to 40 minutes, I'll say 30-minute real time of being able to rest. They're playing him the whole quarter, similar to what we did with Anthony Davis. And then he's coming back in around that 8-minute mark. But real time is probably about 20 minutes. I might have over embellished there. About 20 minutes of real time, which for an NBA guy is a lifetime. So,
forever.
It's forever. So I say all this to say, second year in JJ's system, better shape, deeper roster, and DeAndre Ayton, as much as, I was happy with that signing, I'm even happier with how he's fitting in.
It's better than we thought.
That's
the reason why he's the number 1 overall pick, man. The guy's got so much talent. It's
so quiet and it's so efficient. I looked up, I'm like, man, he's got 14 rebounds and 15 points and, 2 blocks. And you're like, Jesus, man, it was quiet in a great way, because, it's almost him earning points where the offense is really not running through him. But when they find a mismatch, they get it to him, and he's delivering short baby hooks, short jumper, free throw line in. And it's only going to, with LeBron joining, he's only going to get more space to operate when you got another guy who could drive downhill and get to the rim and, either dump it off, or you get some what I call the dirty points where he misses a layup and you right there to clean it up, right? Because everybody's collapsing down on him. So I'm excited. We got some big games coming up here and a little mini bye to kind of rest and get healthy. So my thoughts on the Lakers, I know it's early, but I like the early results that are coming. It's almost like Poland, man, where you're starting to look at these different, you get those early numbers in and like, man, it look like we're going to win Indiana, and it looks like we're going to take this county and this district. And a lot of the positive things that we look for within a winning basketball team. It's giving me the 2020 vibes where
The Lakers, have
we
played.
were multidimensional.
They've played more games than any team. They've had multiple, at least 3 back-to-backs already.
Wow.
And they've had so many guys injured, and they still are 10-4. Wow. They have had nothing in their favor. Just their 5-game road trip. They've had nothing in their favor these first 14 games that really has worked in their favor. And they still are 10-4. It's just, this team is a different level of team when it comes to, how hard they play, the consistency each night. It's just there, man. And I can tell you, OKC blew the Lakers out, but I can tell you what you just talked about, when they blitz, for a little X's and O's here, when they blitz Luka or blitz Austin, and then they double team him and he has to retreat, and then he has to get that ball off, when the person who's receiving that ball is going to be LeBron James, all of this madness where they double team him and then the Lakers don't know what to do and they can't complete. That is why last year when LA went to OKC, they ran their ass off the court, because they kept trying to blitz and it didn't work, because you had too many decision makers, and the court was laced with shooters and people who could finish all over, and they just crushed them. But they don't have LeBron, and they were able to get away with it. Right.
And that's a great point. And they were able to, you can't get up in LeBron the way they got up in, LaRavia. You can't get up in LeBron the way they were able to get up into Austin Reeves, to where he was getting the second best defender. And I know Williams was out, but I do think, for everybody who's, doubting why we need LeBron, that game was the reason why we needed him.
That's right.
Because we know when it's a playoff atmosphere and a physical style, you're going to need another high level elite playmaker to back those guys off, and you get a little bit more size and strength on defense to deal with.
They went double bigs. They went double bigs. So they were able to neutralize Aiden. You're not going to go double bigs and neutralize LeBron and Rui and Aiden. You're not going to do that. You're not going to get away with that. You know what I'm saying? And so, and the decision making, because now you're going to have, a guy like Chet or a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein out there on the wing trying to defend LeBron in space and dealing with those guys. It's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah. Okay. And that's a great point. Chet had his way. In that game. SGA, you pencil that guy in the MVP for his 35 and 7. He's just that talented. But the others, we allow some guys to really get off just because of the runouts and the fast breaks, and they turned us over. Not saying that they won't. Obviously, it's the NBA. That, like you said, they get paid too. They'll make it a series. But I tell you what, we're the last team that they want to see in a 7-game series at full strength, and with a guy like Luka. His growth is going to be, as the franchise guy on those lonely nights in Atlanta. You can't have that type of performance, right? Yeah. And JJ was so frustrated. He sat all the starters down by the third quarter because of the effort. And in OKC, Luka and Luka understands it. I think it's just a matter of him. Some nights you don't have it, but you got to find a way to contribute in different ways. Yeah. And I think that was a game where Luka kind of tried to shoot his way back into that game, and it just didn't work. And you got to find things to get other guys going and get more creative and trying to win a ball game. And the last guy I'm worried about is Luka. The last guy I'm worried about is LeBron James. Those two guys I won't worry about. And if the rest of the others continue, like Rui's having a career year, Austin Reeves is having a career year. Will the numbers dip when LeBron gets back? Yes. What we need is the production to flatten out
efficiency.
and efficiency. Yep. If we can keep up with that, the numbers will adjust themselves, and they're going to get similar minutes because LeBron will be on the bench, right? He'll be off the court, and they can still do their thing.
Yeah, they'll be able to do their thing, and honestly, LeBron should make it easier for them to get some of those points anyway. So
yeah,
their efficiency should go up also with that. So definitely excited about that. They play Utah tomorrow. We'll see if LeBron plays tomorrow. But finally the injured reserve list is starting to get shorter and shorter. Starting to get some people back. Marcus Smart was only out because he was sick. He got sick, so he was just out for that. So
and we talked about Marcus. The reality is for him, it's almost like you're managing the veteran, you're managing his body, you're managing his health. So you got Bronny, you got some what I call youthful wings. You don't need to burn him out, in an 82 game season. It's a back-to-back against the Jazz. So like you said, we play tomorrow, rather today for me, tomorrow for you. And then it's the 23rd. We don't play again the Sunday.
Beautiful.
So beautiful. So we get, LeBron said he'll jump on, he'll decide if he's going to play today. If his body responds well to the practice he had today, I expect him to be ready to go tomorrow night. It feels like he's ramping up to make his debut with the timing of the schedule. After this game, he gets another couple of days to kind of recover and recalibrate before they get back. And then they play the Clippers on the 25th. No, they play Utah on the Sunday. They got the Clippers on the 25th. And then they go Dallas on the 28th. So you got 3 days in between those games, to heal up.
I don't know. You've got Utah, Clippers, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't know if them teams got 10 wins between them.
You know what? I know
the Clippers lost again tonight.
Yeah, and Dallas, it sounds like they're trying to. I know, and it sounds like they're trying to trade AD. They put him on 7 to 10 days to where he won't play at all. So he won't play against us most likely. Or if he does, he's coming back after, being out almost 3 to 4 weeks. So he won't be. And if anybody's seen AD lately, the last thing he's in is his best shape, and he's also got a soft tissue, so he's not doing a ton of cardio. So and after that we got the Pelicans, and Zion's nursing a hamstring. So you're right, man. I'm looking at again, these are NBA players that get paid too. But we should win, 4 or 5 of the next, what I call, little stretch up through Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep. Looking good, man. So I'm excited. So this concludes our show tonight. Thank you to all those who popped in and out on our live.
Right.
We're on live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and on multiple platforms. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We're really trying to grow, and if you like this content, we certainly want to get to the point where we can have some Q&A and have some live comments and so forth.
Yeah.
And start involving the personnel who want to be a part of our program and our channel and grow with us. And we're excited about doing it. We live in a great age where we can voice our opinion and stuff in social media and on these platforms. So we're excited about it and looking forward to it. So we got 2 wins. Our team got a.
Hold on. So Bear Nation, before you close us out, you know how we end this thing. I forgot to do it, man, at the end of my segment. So Bear Nation, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good gets better and your better gets best. So 7 wins on top of the division. Enjoy it. We got Pittsburgh coming up. You guys got Philly. Man, we got to do a show preview two huge critical games.
Big games.
And I'm excited, man. I feel like this NFL season is blowing by, and
it is flying by, man. It does fly by. It goes by fast.
Yeah.
It goes by fast, man. Oh, by the way, roll Goats. Big win.
Man, huge win.
41-38 over South Florida. And I'm telling you, I watched University of South Florida this year. Man, they look like a SEC team out there. Dude, they are good.
But the Bulls are good. The Bulls are good, and
they've been ranked all year.
Horvath, what's up with Horvath? What did he injure? He's what's injured on him?
I don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, he was in and out. He was in and out last game.
He was in and out. He was walking around. He was in and out. But I told you, we talked about Woodson.
That backup, yeah.
We talked about Woodson, man. I'm telling you, I don't think he's much worse than Jalen Milroe, man. I think that guy can play, man. He's from Alabama. His dad played for Alabama, for Auburn. His dad played for Auburn. Okay. He is a legit athlete.
He's a specimen, man. What is he?
Yeah.
6'3", 220 kid, man, and he can run and. So yeah, they just calling it an upper body injury. I feel like they pulled Horvath so they can, maximize the run game, and he answered the backup quarterback. He answered the bell, man. He played lights out. So Goats rolling, Bears rolling, Lakers rolling. I don't know if I'm in the alternate universe, man. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to feel, man.
Get a lottery ticket. Get a lottery ticket.
I gotta go get a lottery ticket, man. Right so. Feeling good right now.
As you know, it's a roller coaster. With these, there will be days when we will not have it like this. So we appreciate it when we have it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to, really, really, like I said, I've had enough down years now with the Bears. It feels good to have some positivity. We won't win every game, Bear Nation, but I do think this next stretch. You taught me the mathematics of this thing, so I've been working on my mathematics. We got 7 left. I think if we go 4-3, that puts us, in an advantageous situation to get on the bus. We'll get in.
Yeah, you'll get in 4-3.
Yeah, so a little bit above 500 football, playing the right way, and seeing if we can host a playoff game at Soldier Field. And you look at the landscape, man. I'm checking it out. I know we're trying to get out of here, but I was just looking at all the teams, bro. And yeesh, I mean, everybody who getting on this bus, man, it's
good luck.
Contenders, man. Good luck. The Rams, the Bucks, Seattle, the Green Bay, and the 49ers, still super dangerous teams. Like I say, I guess if we wanted to be honest, if I had to be objective, probably the weakest, not the weakest, the team that you would expect to be, not the best team here out of this group is the Bears. But hell, I wouldn't want to deal with us. I wouldn't want to bet on dealing with Ben Johnson and trying to chase Caleb around the downfield come playoff time. So I'm excited, man. I'm sorry I stopped us from closing this thing out. So like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all of you. Big wins for the Cowboys, big wins for the Bears, man. And we're moving on to, what's this, week 12? Coming up? Week 12.
Right. No more bye weeks.
Yeah.
More bye weeks. So, okay. For Harry, this is Mo. This is HMSA, H&M Sports Academy. We're out. You guys have a good night.